All right, I'm going to go through a challenge I'm having right now, Rico, is again, we're going to go look at that in our dimensions and talking about what we have out of the box with Dynamics GP. And we know we have a segmented chart of accounts for Dynamics GP. And we also have, I've got a task of right now, we've been doing a lot of travel for trade shows, and there's some more trade shows coming up next year. And we really want to be able to understand that data a little bit better. And right now we're putting it into these accounts that, sure, they're departmentalized and we know their travel, but we really don't know exactly what's going on as far as some of this, the detail in here. So I was trying to figure out a way of, how am I going to go and work that out? And I was going to put some more description in here. I was thinking about other ways of handling it. And we had some payables information that came in. This one was a journal entry. There's some AP transactions that came in as well. And so I was thinking, well, how can I really go and, if I don't want to use analytical accounting, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to just dump this out to Excel and look at it in Excel and then kind of break it down and figure out where those transactions can be, how they can be grouped easily. So I was kind of wondering if you had something where, again, trade shows or different projects come up and they're intermittent and they're throughout the year. And, I really want a way to be able to analyze that and be able to see things from a different perspective a lot easier, a way to see the data easier. Do you have something that you can show? Because other than doing analytical accounting, these transitory things, I would have to go in, for example, if I go and look at our account maintenance window, and I brought up that 300,652,000, which was one of my travel accounts for the sales department, which is Department 300. Again, I have to really go into doing things a lot more in detail, and I think this is the entry that came from accounts payable, and we can see that I put some more reference in there, but that's kind of clunky.
Yeah, it feels not the easiest thing in the world, but to be honest, it feels like what you would need is like a hashtag for your transactions, right? So something
Yeah.
where you have like you enter something and then you just hashtag it and say, okay, now I want to be able to find everything that has this hashtag. And you know what? That's what we do with dimensions. So of course we use dimensions as you use them, for example, for departments. So classic with our implementations is we have a department dimension, we have a jobs dimension potentially, maybe we have a customer region and whatnot. But you gave a good example, a trade show. So let's say we have these trade shows, and I want to be able to maintain these values, and they come up. And once the trade show is gone, you will never have any additional transactions for this trade show again, right? So instead of creating like a new GL account to say travel expense for trade show spring 2020 and then another one for trade show fall 2020, we would just create one of those hashtags, and once we don't need it anymore, we just terminate it. So what we do is we go into our dimensions. It's a setup. If I could type, that would help a lot. So dimensions. And now you would see a thing that we as consultants usually help you with in the beginning. So you can see that I have a dimension for jobs. So for jobs, I have a couple of dimension values. And now you can see that these are all my jobs. But I also have a dimension which I already set up for trade shows. So this is a common thing that we do in dimension values. We have like a dimension value for the trade show in fall 2019. Then we had one in spring 2019, and we had one for spring 2020. What you can see here is that I blocked those two. So what if I have a new thing that I need to prepare, which is called fall 2020 trade show. And now since spring is already over, the trade show is done, I would just block it, right? So I would just go here, block this one, and I would go back to my journal. And now you would see how easy it is to enter this hashtag against my transactions. So I go to my journal. I just set up a new trade show. It took me like a second to do that. It was more explaining than actually doing here. So let's say this line item here was associated to a specific trade show. You can see, of course, where did I put it? I put it in the very end. I have this dimension as a column here. And if I go here and do the drop down, all I can see is the trade show that is still active. All the other ones are still there in the background, and any transaction that still has this dimension value would be available for reporting, but I can't create any new transactions with this dimension. So all I need to do is select this one, and now it's part of my transaction. It's hashtagged. So if I want to post this and run a report on that, I would totally be able to report on my trade show. Don't matter on what account. It's any account in your entire chart of accounts, any master record, any subledger, any ledger that is associated with that one will have this hashtag. So you can run your analysis on this trade show everywhere. So when I'm talking about these dimensions, I want to give you a little bit of an insight what you can do with dimensions and how you could analyze them. So if I would go out of here for now, and if I go to my analysis views, this one, I have prepared something where I have a couple of more ledgers already prepared. And this is my example is my job sales. So let's say I have recorded all my sales that I did during the year against a particular job. But at the same time, I also figured out that on a specific job, multiple departments work. So I want to be able to run a report to show me per job how much revenue was done by a specific department, like in a pivot table. And instead of exporting all the data and running like an Excel on that, I can totally do that all in here. So what I want to do, sorry, that was the wrong button. I want to do an analysis by dimension. So what I want to do is I want to see in my lines my jobs. Since I have this view already prepared, I want to see my jobs in the lines, and in my columns. Today I don't want to see periods, but I want to see my my departments. So let's say I want to see all my revenues that I did from January this year to June this year. So I would just in period 1 to period 6, this would translate to an actual date filter. And all I need to do now is click on Show Matrix. And it would show me exactly what I was looking for. Show me the jobs and show me the departments. If I would go and say, show me the revenue only for P1, I can even see a more detailed view that I don't have like records for every single month, and it will still show up in here. So every job has a transaction, but not by every department. So I think that's a super easy way to report on these what are called dimensions, but I refer to them as hashtags because that's really what they are. They are tagging your transactions, and you would be able to build reports based on that.
Wow, Reiko, that's awesome. So that would really help me in those kind of like intermittent or temporary projects or trade shows or events that come up, and I want to track costs by department.
Correct. Yeah, it's exactly the same concept with jobs, right? A job has, per definition, has an end, and once the job is ended, you want to make sure that you don't track cost against it anymore. Like if somebody's coming late, you maybe at least want to know that he was coming late. The job is already closed.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was what I could tell you about dimensions, and I hope that would help you with your trade show and the analysis for that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.